Hey guys, this is Forsaken Reality here with the ninth video of the RPG tutorial series. In this video we're going to be continuing with the melee combat system. So without further ado, we'll get into that now. Okay, so first thing we're going to want to do is go into our project settings and create a new input for our attack. So we'll just call this, for now, melee attack. And we'll use the left mouse button. And then we want to head into our character blueprint. And I'll just comment this for now. Pick up item. And we'll make a new one right here for now. And we'll call our melee attack input. First thing we're going to want to do is check if our holdable ref is valid. Means this is set when we pick up an item. So if it's not valid, we don't want to continue any more of the melee code because we don't have an item equipped, a weapon equipped. Comment that. And if it is valid, we'll create a branch. And we're going to check if the character is falling. Because for now, we're going to disable attacks, melee attacks while in the air. Later on, I'll set up melee attacks for while you're in the air too. But for now, the animations we have just won't really look that well. And now we want to create a stance check. See if the player is in whatever stance we want them to be in. In this case, in the melee stance. So we'll go to our blueprints, components, and our character component, and we'll create a new function. We'll call this stance check. And we'll need one input, which will be the stance to check. And we will get the st underscore stance. The e stance enum, not a structure, sorry. And then we'll check if that's equal to our stance, which is in our player info. And there's all the variables we created last time. And then we'll create a branch, and if they are in whatever stance we input, then it will return. We'll create a return node. And we'll also need an output, which is a boolean, and we'll call this success. We'll check this box if the stance does equal the stance we're inputting. And if it doesn't, we'll copy this and we'll return false, which means the stances are not equal. So now that we created that function, and we'll comment it quickly, check if the input stance equal to the current player's stance, because this stance is set in the character component every time you enter and equip the weapon or something. This is the main one that feeds to everywhere else. Now that we have that done, we can head back to our player character, and we can get our character component, and we can call stance check. And if the player is not falling, sorry. We will check to see if they're in the unequipped stance. So we'll create a boolean here. And so from here, check if in unequipped stance, holding an item. So if they are, let's create a print string. And just thinking about it, it shouldn't actually be able to get to here because we have a holdable reference check. But we'll keep this here for now because it will become useful later when we want to check for other stances. From here, we will want to make some more room. And from false, we'll drag out and create another boolean. And from here, we're going to check if the player can attack, because there'll be instances when the player can't. So we'll drag out our character component and get the variable we created there in the last video called can attack. And if you can attack, we'll perform an attack. So from here, we'll want to create a new custom event, and we'll call this light attack checks. So for our light attack checks, we will want to... Okay, actually, I'm going to quickly rename this melee input to light attack. That's it for that. So this is our light attack. So if this is player can attack, we're going to call our light attack checks. I'll organize this a little better there. Comment this one right yet. So from here, we'll want to first create a branch. our character component because we're going to want to check if light attack variable is set to true or heavy attack variable set, oops, heavy attack. So you want to check if either of these are true, which means if one of these are true, that means that we've already performed at least one attack, because these aren't set until you perform at least one attack. I'll show you that here now. So we're checking to see if either of these variables are true. If they're not true, we're gonna get our character component again. Just copy and paste that or drag it from over there. And we're gonna set light attack, set heavy attack, and set chain attack. Organize this a little bit here. Drag this up to true. So we're going to plug this into true and set this and this. And now, if there was already a light or a heavy attack performed, that means it's going to be a chain attack. So you want to set the chain attack to true. And since we're doing the light attacks, we're using the left mouse to do our light attacks, we'll set our light attack to true and our heavy attack to false, because we're going to want to combo between light and heavy attacks. Okay, so we'll comment this. Attack is already played. This will be considered a chain attack. And I'm going to copy this or drag it from over here. Light attack. Or actually, we can just copy these two variables here. Plug that in. So if it's false, that means there has never been attack performed yet. We're just going to set light attack to true. And then we're going to head into our attack. First attack is playing. Okay. So that's our light attacks. Our checks for our light attacks. I'm just going to quickly create our checks for our heavy attacks. So you want to copy all of this for the light attack checks. Call this heavy attack checks. And all we're going to do is simply uncheck that, check that, which means if there's an attack performed and it's not the first attack, then it'll consider it a chain attack. And since it's heavy attack checks, it's going to be a heavy attack. And the same thing if it's the first time we're doing an attack. If it's light heavy attack checks, we'll want to disable our light attacks and set heavy attacks true. So I'm just going to comment this, combat, and I'm going to be a little more specific with that, melee combat, for now. This should never ever run, and if I can't get this to run, I'm going to do some testing. I don't think it's possible. There might be a moment when you can attack, and I don't know, I'm going to check into it. I'll remove that. Okay, so now that we have all of our checks in place, we will want to head over to our player or head over to our third person example map, go to our items folder in our blueprints, go to Holdable and BP Master Holdable. And here we should just be storing the data table there. We can delete 2 of these, or all of these. And this is where we're going to store our attack, everything to actually deals with our attacks themselves. So this is just attack checks, and basically we'll run our attack here and right here for heavy and light attacks. And we'll be using animation notifies to continue our chain attacks, which I'll show you exactly how that's set up once we get into that. Okay, so we'll head over to the master holdable and we'll create the begin play again, because we actually are going to need that. We're going to cast to master character. Get player character. And we're going to promote to variable. And we're going to name this character ref. And just because we need a character reference in the player, so sets a reference to the character. We need a reference to the character in the weapon, I mean. And so now that we have that done, we are going to create a custom event. This custom event will be called light attack. And from there, we want to create a branch. And we are going to get our animations that we set up in here. I'm dragging out and we'll break this. And we'll break our animation details. Just make that up like here like that. So now we have our melee light attacks right here from our structure. We'll right click out of this array and we'll get the length of the array. And we'll check if that is equal to the number of chain light attacks in the character component. So you want to get your character component and chain light attack +1. Integer plus integer, sorry. So if the chained light attacks is so the last number in here is equal to the current chained attacks +1. We'll create a branch, hold B and click, and so we'll check if so if the melee light attacks, the length of that array, so yeah, we have 3 attacks in there right now, is equal to chained light attack, current chain light attacks +1. If that's true, then that means that this is the final attack, because this is checking the, so say we have 3 of these 0, 1, 2 in the array. So if we have 1 + 1 + 1, it'll be 2, so that'll get the final one. And then it will return true. So if it returns true, Sorry if that sounds a little confusing, by the way. So if it returns true, we're gonna get our character reference and our character component and set our last attack to true, which means this is gonna be our last attack. So comment this, set final attack in a combo, and we'll comment, oops, created 2 branches there. We just need 1. Plug this into there. Put this down here to organize it a bit better. And bring this over here like that. And we'll comment this whole thing. And oops. And we'll check if the last number in the weapon details light attack array is equal to the chain attacks plus 1 final attack is next, if true. That's what that means, basically. And if it's not the final attack, we will want to copy these 2 again, paste, switch. We're actually going to need to get our chain attack, chain light attacks variable, and then we'll create a switch statement, switch on int, drag this up here. So this will determine the animation that plays depending on the ID, current ID of the light attack, and we'll want to create 2 of these, but you can create as many of these as you want. This right here, if you want 4 combos in your attack, you can set this to that like this, and add another one to your array, and it will get the length of that and check it for your final attack. And we'll continue right here now. Comment. Switch between each attack each time you attack. +1 is added unless it is the final attack. Then we will reset it to 0. So the final attack will reset it to 0, basically. So you can continue. So you can do a combo over. You can do a new combo. Okay, we're going to need to create 2 custom events. These will be used to allow us to, in our children blueprints, we can use these to create unique combos for each weapon, basically. And basically, we're gonna make 1 custom event. Call this combo light attack. Copy and paste. We're gonna create another one, and we're gonna call it chain heavy attack. Chain light attack. Inputs are going to be integers. And we're just going to call this chain light attack. And we'll comment these so we know what they are. Chain attacks used in children Using children blueprints to mix and match. Light / heavy chain attacks. I'll show you how these work when we finish the combos, when we finish setting up the animations basically. We're just gonna need those. And from here, we're going to want to call our character reference. Okay, we're going to need to actually go back to our character reference and go to our replication graph. We're going to create a replicated montage. So we're going to need 2 new custom events. This one's going to be called server play montage, and another one which will be called client play montage. This one's going to be replicated. Oh, this says in multicast, sorry. Multicast play montage, multicast and reliable, and run in server reliable. And from the multicast, we will want to montage, play a montage, and we'll plug into in skeletal mesh, animation, play rate. Just plug everything into the multicast so that we can call it elsewhere. And from here, we just call multicast play montage. And skip the target because it's just the player, which is self. And we'll plug all these into server. File and save. Now we want to go back to our master holdable and server play montage. And I'm just going to make 3. Notice how the array always, notice how it starts at 0 because that's when an array starts at 0, 1, 2. So our target's going to be right there. And we're going to plug this in here. And we are going to, first we're going to get our item details. And we're going to break this and break the animation data so we can get that for our item. And then we want to drag out of melee light attacks, and we want to get a copy. And then we want to get our character reference, character component, chain light attacks, so we can get our current light attack and plug this into here. So depending on what, every time we play a light attack, it will, we haven't set that up yet, but it will add one to the light attack. I'll quickly set that up so I can actually show you. First we want to set the for these, we want to set a reference to the current chain light attack to this, so we can check this and in each child to compare them, tell where we are in the chain attack and combo between light and heavy attacks, and reset the combo once it's at the end. So first we want to combo light attack, chain light attack. And from here, we want to get our character graph, character component, chain light attack. Plug this into here, so now it will set whatever our chain light attack is to this when we run through. At first, it'll run through and set it to 0, then it'll run through and set it to 1, then it'll run through and set it to 2, or, yeah, and then it'll reset it. So now I want to actually grab these two, copy and paste them there, so we get our component. Now we want to set chain light attack to 1. So it starts off at 0, and once we perform an attack, we're going to want to set it to 1. So that would be, if it doesn't get reset, then we'll continue on and do our next combo. And if it doesn't get reset, we'll continue on and do our next combo. We'll be using notifies, so we can't just spam through them. So now that we have this, we can plug this into our montage play. So that'll play the montage at the light attack's current ID, and then it'll compare it with the chain attack ID, and then it'll play that animation. So if it's 0, it'll play the first, 1, it'll play the second, 2, it'll play the third. Okay, now we're just gonna wanna, I'll just comment it, or actually we're gonna wanna copy all this and paste it again here, and paste it one more time. I'm gonna spread it out a little bit because I'm gonna comment it after. And we'll get this here because when it plays into if the chain attack ID is 1, it'll play into here. We'll get the chain ID of 1, and so 0 is the first attack, 1 is the second attack, and then and 2 is the third attack. So 0 it's automatically set to, then it comes in and sets it to 1, so it can play through here, and then it sets it to 2 and plays through here. And this is where it resets, so it plays the final one. And then you could always continue it and do 3, 4, and then as long as the final one resets it to 0, basically. So we'll comment this. Get animation in the current chain attack ID. If chain light attack 1, get the animation ID 1. I just got confused for a second there. I thought it was going to get 0, but no. 0, 1 in the melee light attacks array. So the first time it goes through, this is 0. So this is just an example of this would be considered the second attack. And we get to set 1, which would be the second attack. We'll comment these. Play attack animation montage depending on the current chain light attack ID. I'm using the word ID is the number, integer number. Right here, set a reference, or actually set the current chain attack ref to the combo light attack event ref to be used by children, VPs to mix chain attacks. There we go. Notice I'm using the word. I'm mixing between combo and chain. For those that don't know, if I say combo or chain, they both mean the same thing. I'm just mixing it between them both. So that should do that. That should play the animation and change it to the next one once a light attack plays. So we can compile and save. And we can head back to our character. We go to our input graph, and now we're in light attacks. Right here, we can drag out and go attack. We haven't set up any notifies yet for the animation blueprint, so I forgot a function. So we're going to go into our character component. Forgot a few functions. First, we're going to make one called attack. And the first thing we want to do is set playing animation. So when we attack, we are playing an animation, and notify will disable this. Once we get there, we want to create a branch and check if it's a light attack. And if true, we want to get our character reference, get our holdable, get a reference to the item we're holding, and then get light attack. This will allow us to grab functions and events from our weapon. So if this is a light attack, we'll perform the light attack, and then we'll return. And this is a heavy attack. Got a print string here because I haven't set up everything for this yet. Won't actually ever run into this because it's never going to be not a light attack. We haven't set up an input for that yet. And we're actually going to set can't. For now, we're just going to set can't attack to true by default. So it won't be able to run into the code unless it's false. But we'll set up a proper way to do that later. I'm just going to test it out. And nothing. Oh yeah, because in our character, we're going to go to our light attack checks, and if it's our first attack, we want to get our character component and call the function we just created, which was attack. And now we should get our first attack, but since we don't have notifies, no, we don't get our first attack. Okay. Okay, this is where it is. So it's not the final attack. We're gonna continue into our switch statement because we still want to perform an attack, and it won't be our final attack. It's the only difference. Still nothing. Okay. Probably want to set our play rate to 1, and we also, I just noticed, we never put in our skeletal mesh. This montage needs a mesh connected to it, so we want to get our mesh. And play rate to 1, play rate to 1. Just gonna copy this and paste it here. Clean this up a little bit. So I can. It's a little crammy there. If I ever clean it up, I'll always make sure to clean it up on video, so things won't look different to anybody and they won't get lost or confused. 'Cause, you know, that can get annoying. I don't, probably would be annoying. Okay, so let's comment all this. Wait. And now that's playing from the mesh and all the play rates are to 1. It should play through the first animation because it shouldn't be able to get through them all right now. So there's our first animation and it's stopped because we haven't set up any notifiers. So yeah, now we can swing our sword. And that should also work on multiplayer. I'll check that quickly. Yes, there we go. Let's attack the server side. And yes, there we go. Okay, so we have one attack. I think I'm going to cut this video off here, and in the next video I will be just setting up the animation notifiers for the rest of the combo system. There's not too much left. We're almost there. If you have any suggestions, make sure to leave them below or in my Discord. I'll also be leaving a link to my Trello group below and in every future video, and also a link in my Discord channel where I'll be leaving suggestions and a path to what I want, to what the project will be. So thank you for watching, and hope to see you guys in the next video.